this is T Ben Grimm, he, him, she, her. I am Susie, which is she, her, and we're going to be talking about Glitter Cat's upcoming competition.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really thrilled to be here.
No, we were so excited to have you on for so long. So a little bit of a, can you kind of explain what's happening? It's going to be happening next week.
Next week, yeah. It's today's like our last day of like getting all these preparations together and the final videos edited. So basically on Monday we start releasing the videos of it's our first ever digital competition called the Digitition.
The
It's a
digitician.
the Digitition. You did a good job. It's really hard to say.
I
Uh,
I wrote it out a few times and tried to get it right. Uh,
cool.
so it helps.
We one of the fun parts is going back to some of our MC videos, and we have like a blooper reel of everyone trying to say digitition.
Oh, nice.
Uh, um, and so it's consists of 6 different competitions. So there's one that's espresso focused, so barista, and then a brewers, a tasters one. Tasters I think is super fun. It's triangulations with coffee, and then also they have to guess like a flavored syrup from Tirani, and then some different essential oils. So
Oh,
kind of
wow.
like testing like super different ends of how we experience flavors. And then a coffee and booze, a roasters, and a latte art. So
Wow.
basically, we're pulling off of like the World Coffee Championships categories. So once like this season was canceled effectively in the United States, uh,
It's canceled
I
everywhere, I guess. I don't think
yeah
it's,
yeah.
yeah.
So I looked at my spouse, their name's Eric, and I was like, yeah, we need to do something. We need to make this happen. uh, so Glitter Cat's 2021 season is basically this digitition. Um, so starting on Monday, there's 2 competitions that start. So we have the baristas and the roasters. So every day of the week, Monday through Saturday, we'll be releasing like a condensed version of their presentation with links to like their full one on our Vimeo page. But we're trying to make it super audience friendly. Like
Mm.
we have 36 competitors. It's like we would love everyone to dive in and watch 10 minutes of these like people presenting these beautiful presentations. But we also know that from an audience standpoint, sometimes like that's like 360 minutes, which is a lot of hours. So
It's,
we're
yeah,
condensing everything. We're
but
like
it's
shrinking
like
it.
this thing of like, I think we have time
That's
for
true.
sure.
That's true. If anything, in the next couple of weeks, we're probably going to get more time as we're probably returning into sheltering in place.
Mm.
So we just wanted to find a way to like engage the community in a different, new way as we're looking at more digital events, more things online. Um, and this is kind of our first draft of it, and we're having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I've seen already, you put the schedule up and some organizational stuff up already, which was really good because like now we know exactly when we're meant to watch it. But what was
Mhm.
kind of, because it's like this thing that everyone's moving to digital at the moment, what was the biggest learning curve around it?
With this one specifically, we probably sat down for probably close to 10 hours about like how do we make this like audience friendly from a viewer standpoint, where we have 6 competitions and 36 competitors. So our answer was just to add a bunch of glitter. So every competition is color coded, it's glitter coded. So then you can follow along with your favorites. The other big learning curve is like working with technology. It's definitely not, you know, my background is not editing at all. And so trying to find ways where the people participating can also submit as high quality of videos as possible. Because we're working with, baristas. We have some competitors that applied, that are competing that aren't even in the coffee industry. So they're like coffee fans and excited about it. So like one of them has never roasted, and she's one of our roasters this
Oh,
year.
wow.
And so like it's been really great because part of being a digicat, a digital glitter cat, is we have educational opportunities as well. We wanted to find, like, you know, we started with these classic boot camps that they were in person, they were intensive training for a couple of days. So we wanted to carry that over into the digitician. So each competition has 3 training programs. They're like 2 hours, led by U.S. champions in that field. We have some world champions educating as well, and then we have some folks who are just excel in that aspect of the industry that are guiding these glitter cats, which has been really fascinating. I've learned a lot because I get to sit in on them. And
Yeah, and then someone was just asking where to find the links to watch the dietitian. Where can I think it's like on Instagram and then also on the website as well.
Yep. So everything is going to be on Instagram. So our IGT, we're launching our IGTV channel. So you can find them all there. It'll be vertically integrated on our feed. So at the end of next week, you'll see 2 glitter columns. One's like this beautiful light blue, and there's like a really dark purple. And so, you know, all the light blues are baristas, all the dark purples are roasters. And then in our profile link, it'll be linked to each competition's webpage. And so we'll upload them there as well. So the ones on IGTV are going to be like the highlights, the 2-minute highlights of each competitor. And then the ones on our webpage are going to be the full length ones.
Nice. Like you really jam-packed a lot of stuff in, which is really exciting to see. Because I think it's that thing of they need their competition fix right now. Like that kind of thing that we all used to stand in cafes and watch our friends competing, and now we can do that, which is really nice. And for you, like obviously in the past has been you've chosen people from like different minorities and kind of people who didn't have a chance to get into competitions before because of the resources they had. How did you choose people for this competition?
Really similar to the way that we chose for the like our programs in the past. So we had an application period that lasted 5 weeks, and it's basically like a form that's filled out online, a series of short answer questions that they range from kind of serious to like super quirky, like how do you feel about pink lawn flamingos? And the biggest thing we look for is just intentionality. Like we've seen some really fabulous answers to some really weird questions. And then it ends with like a 60 to 90 second video recording. So basically however they want to represent themselves, whether we have people talk about plants. One person interviewed their cats with like microphones. It was pretty fantastic. And my favorite part about selection is we have a committee that selects each cohort. So I don't have to make any of those decisions. My husband and I joke that if we were the selection committee, we would have cohorts of like 200 people.
Yeah, you just like you have to love everyone.
Yeah. And with it, kind of with all of our other program, everything is free, everything's provided. So there's no cost of admission. Each competitor gets a stipend to help pay for ingredients. They're all sent the same coffees. We have some incredible equipment sponsors. We have Acaia, y'all are giving. We have this incredible library of scales. So we have enough scales to send out to every single competitor, which is the generosity from you folks has been really fabulous. So thank you.
No, it's supporting a wonderful organization that also helps other people. So why wouldn't we?
Yeah.
So for instance, I think one of my biggest questions was that you're moving to digital, and it's this thing where when tasting espresso, it's not just about the flair or the glitter, it's also about the flavor as well. So how are you getting around it? How are you adapting to it?
That's definitely been one of probably the biggest challenge is how can we still find a way to calibrate on flavor while our judges are in 3 different time zones in the United States. Like we're nowhere close to each other. And so a lot of it is built around the digitician as a whole. We like to describe it as it's competitor led and in many ways still able to be objectively judged. So basically each competitor creates their own definition of professionalism and own style of presentation. And so that's written down or recorded or video collaged or scrapbooked, basically however the competitor wants to present how they define professionalism. And then the judge looks at that before they start any tasting, before they see the videos. And then the judge has to shift their perspective to view it from the competitor viewpoint. It's like most competitions are the reverse, where the competitor has to cater their presentation and their flavor calls to the judge. Yeah. Where in this one, we're trying to flip it. So let's say someone is like really familiar with like South American fruit. Like one of my favorite, it's a maracuya. And it's like, if you've never had a maracuya, it's hard. Like if a competitor makes that call, it's like, it's a tropical fruit in South America called maracuya. The judge has to be like, yeah, I get tropical fruit notes. I've never had this fruit before, but I'm going to trust that the competitors right in this category. Where let's say like someone says orange and the judge is like, we've definitely all had oranges. There's 100% zero orange here. And so that's kind of like where we're looking at. So it's a little, it's complicated. And it's also, it kind of like pushes on this idea of like, you know, all of our palates are right. Like whatever we're tasting, like that's what we're tasting and we're not wrong. So how do we still create this competition of flavor that's based around flavor? And what we're trying to do is basically the more the competitor dives into exploring the flavors of their coffee, of their espresso, of their roast profiles, and describes it, flushes out their definition of professionalism, and then showcases that, those are going to be the higher scoring presentations.
Nice. And for like this, I think it's going to be kind of a similar question in kind of the idea of flair and flavor. How is Glittercat approaching the booze version?
So it's Espresso Part sponsored compulsory brewers. They have to use the compulsory brewer, and then we just got a partnership that we're really excited about with Campari Group. So they have quite a few different brands that are nationwide, and Campari's sponsoring the booze portion for the coffee and spirits folks. And so they each get to go buy a few. There's like 3 compulsory ones. One's like a whiskey, and then a like chinar, so like aperitif kind of thing, and another one. I can't remember the other one. Something
else delicious, anyway.
Something else delicious, yeah. And we have some really great instructors for that too, because I think that's probably the hardest competition to dive into. Like most of us don't have an experience as a bartender, let alone a bartender with coffee.
Yeah.
So like we have the reigning U.S. champion for U.S. coffee and good spirits. One of our instructors has curated multiple bar menus in New York City, like coffee cocktail bar menus, and then the 2018 U.S. Brewers Cup champion. So the coffee and booze people are in good hands.
It sounds like it. And I guess in a way we all recognize kind of the idea of how SEA runs their competitions, the rules, the regulations. And as you said earlier on, everyone tried to conform to those rules and almost play with them. And it sounds like Glittercat's flipping that on its head and creating a new sort of rules and regulations that are non-rules and non-regulations.
That's a really great way to put it. Because ultimately, like, I love breaking rules. When I competed at US Coffee Champs, I was like, what rules can I break but still follow? Like, how can I push these boundaries? And so like we have rules and regulations, we have guidelines. But if someone decides to break them and it works really well, works for us.
Yeah. And do you have, for the people who are competing this year, you said that you've kind of got quite a few of non-professionals who have entered as well. Have you seen a lot of the previous Glittercats come back as well?
Yeah, so a lot of them came back. There's a couple competing, which is cool to see some veteran Glittercats in the competition. A lot of them are judges, which is which was really wonderful. Yeah, so I think probably close to half of the judges are glitter cats from past years, and then quite a few other ones came on as mentors. So within this instructor program, each of the cohorts of 6, so each competition has 6 competitors. They got broken up into mini kitty teams of 2. So like 2 digicats are paired up with a veteran glitter cat as a mentor. So it's creating like these little, like it's like a constant positive feedback loop of mentorship and instruction. And that's been really great to see glitter cats be able to take more like this leadership role and start sharing all the education that they've gotten over the last couple of years. And develop, and I'm sure they've learned from the people they've worked with too, since we're all coming from so many different backgrounds.
And with the idea of backgrounds, I guess, how did you choose not just the glitter cats who are new judges now, but how did you choose judges, and how did you choose competitors as well?
So the competitors was the selection committee. So there was a committee of 4 per cohort, and so they looked for that intentionality, that just like showcase of someone's self in those applications. And the judges, we basically went through some folks that are leaders in the industry that like we've been seeing kind of, and then we're trying to find people that were glitter cats as well, and. Like some glitter cats directed us to other folks. So it's kind of like we're all connected in like stages of 5 or something, right? Like we're like one step removed from someone else. But does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. This kind of thing of like, you sort of know someone, but
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like I've seen you around on Twitter kind of thing. Do you want to come in?
Yeah. Yeah, and so we wanted to find a way to keep our judging pool and the competitor pool as representative of different communities as possible, and that's always been our focus, to support marginalized folks, and we're committed to keeping that as a focus, and working harder to find to reach communities that we haven't been able to have be a part of the program yet in like higher numbers.
Yeah. And kind of going back on what Glitter Cat is, it's been 2 or 3 years now you've been
this
running?
is our 3rd year. It feels like 10 years, and it also feels like 6 months.
Yeah. I think it's the same way of like the last year has felt. It's been like a week, and it's been like 10 years at the
Yes,
same time.
that's a great point.
Yeah. And because I remember I believe when I first started hearing about Glitter Cat, and this is like when, like I'm based in Europe, so I get all my information from the internet.
Yeah.
And I think I saw that you had started with one boot camp maybe online. You started with a boot camp maybe in Houston?
In Philly. Yep.
In
Philadelphia. Philly. Yep. Philadelphia is basically like the North Houston.
North Houston.
Yeah, so 2018, it was for the 2019 competition season. We had one boot camp. The cafe I worked at, it was Elixir Coffee Roasters. They closed the shop so we could have it for 3 days.
Wow.
We totally re-outfitted it with 3 espresso machines, 6 grinders, a dozen scales, all this coffee, and we grew so quickly the next year. We had a lot of success that year. We had 4 out of 10 qualify for nationals, 3 made it to semifinals, and 1 made it to finals. And like, if you would have told me that when we started it, I wouldn't have believed you. Like, all of them had the skill to do it, but the U.S. Coffee Championships is so competitive. And so then we decided, you know what, let's go bigger. And so we had 4 boot camps the next year for 4 different competitions, and then some national preparation boot camps as well. So our goal was to once we have this initial cohort to help them through and guide and be a resource through all the entire competition season. And this year our plan was to go one step further, to keep the same boot camps, and then to help finding ways to support competitors financially. With the growth of GlitterCat, a lot of we've started opening some doors of folks who don't have financial support from the companies that they work for, or time or training, So we saw a rise in independent competitors as a part of the program. Um,
Yeah.
and it's expensive just to if you make it to nationals, and let's say you're lucky enough to live in one of the cities, you're still spending at least $2,000.
Yeah.
Like it's it's wild. So we're like, okay, we need to start finding ways to cover admission fees. We need to find ways to support folks that aren't glitter cats but still need support. So that was going to be our focus this year. And then we got to pivot into creating our own competition, which wasn't on our radar. But I think some of the most fabulous and wonderful ideas come when you just need to do a total shift.
Yeah, it definitely shows the resourcefulness of the team at Glittercat for sure. And I guess even the coffee industry as a whole, of
Yeah.
how everyone sort of went, whoa, okay, what do we do now? Let's like trying to get that couch up the stairs. You gotta pivot, pivot, pivot kind of thing.
Yep.
And it's may I ask why did you choose Philly and why did you choose certain cities first?
The Philadelphia one, I lived there. So that was pretty easy. And then the next, it's hard to find a place that we can completely change and re-outfit to find and put in and create a training lab. So the following year, we went over to Sumner, Washington. It's like this small town outside of Seattle, where Delano's had this huge space that they were able to provide us. Basically, we went where people had space. We've had a few boot camps in Kansas City, which has been really wonderful. There's a place there that's called About the Coffee, and they do some really great support in their community, and it's kind of almost like a coffee co-working space in many ways. So we're hoping to eventually have in-person boot camps again, whatever they look like, if it's a training program for the digitician or for coffee champs. But Glittercat's housed in Los Angeles, California now, and we are in the process of trying to find a place where we could eventually open up Glittercat Labs,
Oh wow.
which would be a home base for us. We could have all of our boot camps there. We could host competitions there. Like I'll share with everyone here, like one of our pipe dreams, my husband actually thought of it, is what if we have like 3 digiticians and then the top 2 winners of each of them, we fly in to Los Angeles and have like the championships.
Oh yeah,
And it's
amazing.
like there's so many options if we can have like a space to house ourselves. And so that's something that once this digitician season ends at the end of November, we'll take December off and just like decompress and like and recharge, and then dive into the new year looking at some other options and see where we want to grow from there.
So I know that you did the digitician almost in a response and a way of adapting to the lockdown measures and stuff. But do you think you'll continue the digitician even after hope the lockdown ends?
Hopefully the lockdown
Like I say,
ends.
that's why I kind of stumbled on those words because we never know when we never know the future. But
it's
do you think
confusing future?
It's such a confusing future. Do you think you'll continue to do the digitician afterwards?
Yeah. We've found so much joy in doing it. It's so much work and it's a huge learning curve. But like we've been able to challenge ourselves in ways that I think it's pushing both us forward as professionals, as coffee professionals, and we're able to reach a wider range of people. One really unique thing that the digitician offers is like you're sent all the equipment. So there's latte artists right now competing in their home with an espresso machine, a grinder, like high-end equipment and scales and coffee that's provided to them, and it's completely free for a competitor. And there's no travel, so they can work in the morning, train at night, spend 2 weeks doing this, and then just ship it all back. And I think like that level of accessibility is really important, and I think not making everyone come into one location is something that's gonna like allow this program to grow and continue to find ways to support people who can't travel for whatever reason, even if finances aren't, like, sometimes like traveling right now is kind of scary.
Yeah.
So being able to be safe in our homes, even when we're not in the middle of a pandemic, is kind of nice. You can have your cat sitting on top of the espresso machine and just like guiding you. We'll clean the fur out, don't worry.
Yeah, you don't even need a manager there. Like your cat's already judging you to clean
Right,
the
yeah.
area, so it's totally good.
The cat has the flavor call score sheet.
Yeah. And for the kind of what's been the most surprising aspects of running Glittercat and running the digitician? Because you haven't even started the final throes of digitician
Yeah.
yet. But what has been the most surprising aspect of it?
Uh, how I think every year, and this year included, is just beautiful to be able for folks to open up their stories and share them with us, from the applications to the competitions themselves. We took away some of the, like, for the roasting competition, you don't need to talk about your roast profiles. Those are written down and submitted to the judges for judging, and then their presentation is what they want to talk about. It's how they want to represent themselves as a coffee professional, as a roaster. So, like, we've seen 12 beautiful presentations so far that are in many ways so different than what we've seen in-person competitions. And we're grateful to have these doors opened for us to view these, and for them to be sharing these stories with everybody eventually. In just 3 days, we're starting to see some of these powerful stories being shared. And this is the first time where, like, my husband and I have worked like really closely together on like the planning phases of a program, where, like, last year it's like I got most of the logistics, and then at the boot camps, like, Eric is like the hardest worker, and Eric's our director of positive outcomes, so the shoulder to cry on, or the person to help energize you. But there's a challenge when working with your spouse so closely and professionally on a project. And overall, it's gone really well. It's kind of pushed us both to, like, how do we engage professionally, and then how, at the end of the day, do we turn this work off and then still find time to just be, a couple together. It comes with its challenges for sure.
Yeah.
But it's made Glittercat better. Eric is full of beautiful ideas, and the whole, like, layout of this grid that everyone's about to see is the brainchild of Eric.
That's amazing. I've been seeing because both of you are on Twitter, and then there's also, like, Glittercat on Twitter, and I've seen almost how every day you two are tweeting about it, and just shows how connected you are to because it's not it's just a competition, it's a community, and it's a connectivity space, and how you're both are reacting to all of the entries and to all the messages, and to, like, I think the biggest thing about Glittercat is this thing of it, and the digitician, is that it's not just showing people that they can compete, but showing that, like, hey, you can compete, and you're very good, and giving them self-esteem and bringing them up. And that's probably why it's the majority of the, like, not just, like, that's probably like half the success is coming from, is that you're building these people up in all these different senses.
Thank you. We really appreciate that. And it's true. It's a community first. Our slogan this year is take up space. And it's just, we have it on some, like, Umeshi So cupping spoons that got custom branded. And that's what we're encouraging all of the Glittercats and just people watching. These are your spaces to take up. You belong here, and it's our time to be loud and to be seen and to be heard and to be recognized. And so take up space is probably going to be a pretty long-standing theme for us.
Yeah.
Take up space and always add glitter. Between those two things, we're pretty set.
And with the digitician, obviously, like, as I said, you've really thrown it on its head, the idea of this, what we know as competition, on its head. How is the format going to be? I guess
Um,
it's going to be different for all six in a way.
yeah, yep. So all six have different ones. Barista is probably the one that mirrors the barista competition we're familiar with. So they're doing an espresso, Pacific Foods Barista Series plant-based beverage, and a signature drink. The signature drink's pretty cool because we added a score, like a value to each ingredient. So like common ingredients like lemon or lime or simple syrup are all negative points. And then we have a bunch of positive points like pepperoni is +2. Bugles. I haven't had a bugle since I was like 2, but I was like, bugles are in every corner
Are
store
these
across
the
the United
witch
States.
finger things? Are
Yeah,
these the,
witch
yeah, okay.
fingers.
Okay, that's what I
Um,
know them as.
so we're like super hoping someone uses bugles. A little tiny spoiler is one person used flaming hot Cheetos, so be on the lookout for that one.
As
Uh,
in like they lined it on their cup or something, because I
yeah.
would be totally behind that.
Yep. Um, so there's that, and then Brewers Cup, we have a compulsory aspect. Slow Pour Supply sponsored origami drippers for all the Brewers Cup competitors. Um, and then, but their video presentation is going to be, it's a BYOB, build your own brewer, from any kind of materials that aren't coffee making materials.
That's gonna get weird.
It's going to be super weird. And we're really excited for that. Roasters, roasters competition is typically kind of boring. And you kind of like, you find out it's happening when they're doing awards. And so we wanted to find a way to make it exciting. And we did. We think it's exciting. Where basically they had to create their definition of a light and a dark roast. And part of their judging is, are these two different enough? Do they represent different ends of the spectrum? And then they had to create their own like mini roastery, like a logo and a brand.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so they branded and customized these bags, made their own labels, and then had this whole story. So their presentation is effectively presenting this brand that they made. So now all 6 roasters have completely different brands, and it's really, really cool. And that's the first one y'all get to see. So it's a good way to start. I think we touched on tasters like aromatics, simple like flavored syrups, and the triangulations. Latte art. So we wanted to break away from how do we in some way like level the playing field on latte art, but still have it be challenging. So they have to pour 3. We call them corgi butts, like the dog. The
Yeah,
world knows
I
them as
know
monk
exactly what
heads.
that is.
Yeah.
I know exactly what that is.
So they have to pour 3 identical corgi butts, one into espresso, one into matcha from Hugo Tea, and one into chocolate from Tirani. And then they get a signature pour. So however creative they want to get with their signature pour. So they have to have 3 identical corgi butts, and they're scored on how identical they are. And in the signature pour, they can use 5 different glasses. They can, be super foamy. They can etch. They can throw whipped cream in there. We left that. There's like no rules on that one, as long as at one point there's pouring.
That's also going to be a weird one. I'm looking forward to it.
And that one is last with the coffee and booze. And so coffee and booze, they're doing a recreation of a classic cocktail that has coffee into it, beautifully garnished and paired with a food pairing. And yeah, I think that's all of them. Yeah, so they're all like have this weird little twist to it. All the score sheets have was there effective use of glitter. We sent them all edible glitter, so we're trying to keep the glitter sugar and not plastic. But
oh yeah, I think everyone that like I'm very
it's the
looking forward to
new,
like being a very sparkly. I open up
yeah.
Instagram and it just sparkles everywhere, sparkle and glitter.
If you ever thought that we didn't use enough glitter on our media, we do now. Everything is just covered, and it's been really fun. I'm like, how did we not have this colorful of a feed in the past?
No, I think it's going to be great. And will it be like someone wins from a a round, or do they move on to a next round?
Yep. So we all 36 competitors, we consider them our finalists. They've made it past the selection round. They're the finalists of the competition, and then the winner of each of the competitions. So we'll have 6 winners, and the big prize this year is once it's safe. So we're looking at in 2022, all the winners get to go to Colombia and go to La Palma y el Tucán, which is it's a beautiful farm. I competed with their coffee a few times, and a lot of people have competed with their coffee. Like our reigning World Barista Championship won with it. It's beautiful coffee. It's and even more beautiful people. So they invited us back to their farm, and it's like it's a resort. It's incredible. So the winners of each of these 6 competitions get to go. Our first cohort of glitter cats actually got to go to the farm as well. And last year we couldn't. One kind of like side note challenge that we've had is when I started Glitter Cat, it was important to me that no matter how you did in a competition, everyone got the same thing, same stuff, same access to whether it's materials or funds or a trip to Colombia. And so we invited the first cohort of 10 Glitter Cats down to Colombia, and then last year we had 40 people go through the program. And we're like, there's no way we have enough money to do this. We talked about if you qualify for nationals, do you get to go on this trip? And it didn't sit right with us. We're like, because Glitter Cat as an entity at that time wasn't a competition program. We were a competition training program, building these communities, and so it just didn't sit right with us. And now this year we're like, okay, now we have a competition. We've never had awards before. We've never like ranked things. So it's uncomfortable when like these are finalists. These are people who all deserve to win, all have the skill to win, and all have the passion to win. And then we're like, no, at the end of the day, this is still a competition, and people like to compete. We like to feel that as a competitor, it's like I love feeling that like stress and like anxiety of competition. And it's a driving force. So yeah, we should have a pretty cool prize. And this group of people over at La Palma they've been fierce supporters of us since day one. They've provided coffee to all the boot camps, and so we're excited that they opened their doors to us again.
Yeah, no, it's so exciting. And hopefully all these glitter cats will get to go soon. I'm just trying to think of like what was a group of cats called? Like a purr of cats or something.
I guess there is just the glitter, a glitter of cats. The glitter litter has been used before.
Oh yeah, true, a litter of cats. I think I'm trying to think. I've asked you so many questions now, and for me, it's just like the glitter cat is just so full of joy, and kind of that's what everyone I've seen who posts about it is full of joy. How have the mentors been working with the mentees? I guess they do like Zoom calls and stuff like that?
Yeah, a lot of those kind of calls. What's been cool is the mentors have just kind of like opened up their phone lines too. So like texting has been pretty popular. One of my favorite things is I got a text from one of the mentors saying, "Hey, I need to advocate for my mentee real quick," and it brought us to like a more beautiful solution. Basically, one of the roasters roasted their coffees and then shipped them to the judges, and one of the packages exploded. And so all the coffee, like the 2 different profiles got mixed together, and it's like, oh goodness, there's always an issue, no matter what.
Like an accidental blend.
Yeah, right. I was like, well, I was like, well, do you have enough coffee to re-roast? And the roaster was like, yeah, I think so. I think I can do this. And then the mentor's like, okay, so what if a different judge split their coffee in half and mailed it to the judge with the exploded coffee? I was like, wow, that's a way better solution than re-roast. And thankfully the 2 judges actually lived in the same city, like by total happenstance. So they did like a handoff in a Walmart parking lot. And we're just like
Please
using
tell me
bags of
in the dark
coffee.
at like 2 a.m. or something.
Yeah, that's what I picture. So everyone has their coffee, you know, and I think that's when what's really cool about about like that mentorship is to get a text message like, hey, I need to advocate for my mentee and found a better solution. Like that's the whole point of all of this is empowering folks to know that like that they often have like everyone people have great ideas, and it's when we can just share them is when we can find like the best possible solution. And we sometimes we just need those avenues to be able to do it.
Yeah. And I guess now it's more, I'm going to ask a few questions about the future of Glittercat.
Hmm.
Where do you see Glittercat in like a year's time or 5 years' time? Where would you like to, like, how would you see Glittercat dominating the world?
We definitely want to do open the digitician doors up internationally. Um, and I mean,
Come
there's
to
a cool,
Germany.
Germany, yep. Whether it's we have like the German digitician, or maybe we have, just like the world digitician. Um, and I think like that's it just takes planning, right? Like we have folks, doing worldwide competitions. Yeah, like the Barista League is doing, like they have the
Yeah.
world, like it's open worldwide. So there's ways to do it. So we definitely want to go outside of just the United States. Um, we've fallen in love with this style of competition. We want to continue to grow it. I think we're going to see a total revamp of the score sheet next year. Like I think it's going to we're just finding new ways to like we're developing this program still, so we definitely want to do more digiticians. We want glitter cat labs really bad. We're going to start fundraising for that at this like kind of next year, and find ways to hopefully we can like lease out the front of the space to someone who wants to open up a cafe. Have like the rent be like pretty low. Just like, rent in Los Angeles isn't cheap. So like there's a bunch of folks I'm sure who want to open a cafe. I don't want to own a cafe.
No.
But I would like
I've seen a lot of my friends own cafes, and I'm just going to let my friends own cafes.
Yep.
Is my plan.
Exactly. So we want a cafe, but it's like we want someone else to do it, to handle all of that. And then we can just kind of have this co-working space in the back. Basically like a co-working space for marginalized coffee professionals. Um, if US Coffee Champs restarts, taking a look at like still hosting these boot camps. Basically, we want to have training programs in any possible way all over the place. We were actually looking before that pandemic started. We were hoping to start like a glitter cat training program down in Mexico. It
Oh,
was
wow.
in the beginning stages. We had someone who was going to head it, and then kind of the world shut down. And so everything kind of on
That's a
pause.
really good way of putting it. The world just like closed doors.
Um, so like a super random story. So actually in March, my husband and I were going to go to El Salvador. I was considering competing again. I was planning on competing, trying one more time to win the US Barista Championships. And 4 hours before our flight, we get a text from our friend in El Salvador, and she's like, you can't come. Like the president just closed the country." And we're like, "Oh," she's like, "No, like you literally like do not get on that airplane. Like you're really stuck in the
Wow.
airport for 2 weeks." So we stayed home, and then we
Yeah.
didn't leave our New York apartment for like 4 months. um, but no, so to answer your question is, who knows? In many ways.
That's good.
Um,
That's like leaves a big kind of question mark, and like it's just like a everyone wants to know what's in the mystery box kind of thing.
yeah, yeah. We just know we just want to keep growing. Um, and we're completely volunteer run right now. So every dollar we get gets spent on putting these programs on, or paying for like we pay photographers and videographers and things like that. So we're trying to make sure the money goes to artists in those spaces. But otherwise, like we don't keep any of it for ourselves. In eventually that would be great to be able to have some kind of income and, that let this be our, our full-time jobs. But until that time comes, we'd rather invest this money the way it's been going right now. And that's what's important, on it, like to just be kind of fully transparent there.
Yeah, exactly. And just on your El Salvador story, if you had traveled, I don't know if you heard the story about all the people who were stuck on this like beach festival for like 2 months or something.
Oh my goodness. No, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, there was a whole Vice documentary on it. So I recommend watching that because they're very unhappy.
Yeah, I bet.
And just kind of to like so digitation is happening next week. Have you set a date, just the week, or is it a final date is happening?
So on Monday, the first barista and roaster video get released. And then each consecutive day, another competitor gets released. So basically Monday through Saturday, every day there's 2 videos getting released. So all 6 from those 2 competitions, so 12 videos in total. And then on Sunday, we have the announcement of the winner of those 2 competitions. And then it restarts on Monday. I think it's the 9th. I think it's Monday the 9th is when the next 2 competitions go. And then the following week, the final 2. So basically everything will be done by November 22nd. We're taking up most of November.
Yes. I think a lot of people are going to be home for November anyway.
Yeah.
Like Europe is kind of, we've just shut the doors again, pretty much. We've just closed shop again.
And that's actually part of why we wanted to do it. We were exploring different time frames, and we're like, what if we did it, in January, like after all the holidays are over? And we're like, honestly, like we need things to do. We need to stay busy. Like we were both laid off or furloughed up until basically September, when my full-time job restarted. And so like we need things to do at home, and competitors like baristas and coffee folks want things to probably do at home as well. Like we're all in this state of being home. So that's why we kind of pushed it, and now we all get to watch it.
Yeah.
What's wild though is, so these 2 competitions are done. On Monday, we still have 24 people finishing their presentations. So it's like we have people competing, we have people finalizing things, we're editing this part while these are being released, and it's like super cyclical. And
I'm amazed you 2 have been able to sleep at all.
It's actually, because of how much work went, like we spent a lot of time. This is the most organized, like on paper thing. Like the last 2 years, Glittercat's basically been like in my head. It's like this, like it's all just kind of like stayed up here, and it's worked really well. And we're like, okay, this year we're doing something even bigger, more complex, in many ways more confusing. We need to get this all written down, all like in Google Docs and checklists and spreadsheets and timelines. And Eric did most like a lot of that planning and like getting it all organized. So in many ways it's been really easy. It's a lot of work, like working on subtitling everything and captioning everything, and working with other folks and like video editing and instructing and slide decks and all that. But it's been so energizing, and it's been a beautiful few months, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's been, the work you guys are producing is just phenomenal. Like there's so much going out, and the amount of people who are like just being involved is just really nice to see, because it's just nice to see a sense of community when we're all so separated.
Yeah.
So it's really lovely. Yeah, it's really lovely to see, and I'm really looking forward to watching it next week and the coming weeks and stuff like that. And just a reminder for anyone who's watching, you can go to the Glittercat website, and then to the IGTV on the Glittercat Barista Instagram as well.
Exactly, yep.
So I'm just going to thank you so much for joining me on this Friday morning for you, I guess.
Yes, yeah, Friday. Yeah, thank you for having me. This is wonderful. Thank you.
No, thank you so much. And I'm just going to say a reminder, if we have a competition running until tomorrow, if anyone wants to join, It's our Halloween coffee competition where please dress up your plant, your dog, anything. You can win a lunar and some Coffee People zine merch as well. So I'm
Excellent.
gonna yeah. So I'm gonna leave you to keep editing, and I want to
Excellent.
thank
Well,
everyone for joining us.
I might
You're
jump
gonna
into getting a costume ready first and then go back to
yes,
editing.
it's so much free stuff. It's so good. So have a really great day.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.